Hello everyone and welcome back to another album review, and in this video I'm going to review Σημείο Μηδέν by Blakaut. It's time to talk about a Greek release from the independent local scene. Now I think that my first introduction to Blakaut was with his live lineup in the club night at Temple for the 5-year anniversary of the local industrial techno label Formix. On the club night this lineup would consist of Mora, ANFS, Blakaut and the main name Schwefelgelb. And I remember really enjoying his live set. It was a pretty good show. And the only thing I was somewhat aware of was his album Mavro Fos, which I vaguely heard here and there, and it would go into a somewhat different approach as it would go more into the sounds of synth punk and darkwave, while also maintaining an EBM aesthetic with the sounds that he would use. And after following Blakaut for a really long time, I decided to listen to his brand new project Σημείο Μηδέν from start to finish. And oh boy, this album is a hidden gem. Really, if you are fans of industrial techno music, you have no reason not to listen to this thing. It is really short, it's only 7 tracks and goes for about 20 to 22 minutes long, and you can also get it on Bandcamp for free. You can obviously support the artist and pay what you want. However, the thing is that there's not really an excuse for not listening to this. Blakaut has a really intriguing approach and style when it comes to industrial techno music, because you still get some melodies and some sounds that would be more reminiscent of some synth punk and darkwave stuff. However, we have a much faster tempo over here, and we're talking about some more bombastic and energetic results that could go more into the techno and EBM side of things. The thing is though that with this release you can get a pretty dark, cold and just really energetic and catchy project from start to finish. This album is relentless. There is not a single moment over here where it would go into a different approach. All of the tracks from the first till the last one are just non-stop bangers. You can literally put the entirety of this thing in a dark techno club and all of the tracks would just sound really energetic, really bombastic, just really fitting for this kind of atmosphere. Though this means that as a standout release, it can get easily predictable, and even in its quite short period of time, this album becomes slightly one-dimensional. Because if you get a feel from the first tracks of this album, you pretty much know what to expect in the rest of this thing. This is obviously not a bad thing, as in my opinion, the main thing that shines with this album is its melodies by themselves, and how much they complement each track individually. In terms of the structure, you pretty much know what to get with each one of those songs. Each one of those tracks has an arpeggiated synth passage with a heavy bass to it, and creating the main melody, which is followed up by a pretty standard beat structure that you would find in the majority of the techno tracks. You mostly get a 4x4 signature. Then this is accompanied by what mostly feels like a pad melody, which is the main thing that would shine towards all of those tracks and just making them full and complete. Then you can have this passage taken out, add another melody to it, and then just go and do the same thing for the rest of the track. There are also some audio samples here and there in Greek, reflecting on all the shit that has been going on in Greece lately, which is also in relation with the rest of the world. Since there's so much stuff just going in such a rapid speed, you can barely remember what happened the previous week. Now, like I said before, for the most part you know what to expect with the entirety of this project, but there were certainly moments over here where the melodies in particular would click with me the most and make for some of my favorite highlights. In my opinion, this album makes an amazing introductions. Tracks like Ιδανικοί, Αυτόχειρες and Σημείο Μηδέν are definitely some of my favorite moments over here. The album after this point has the extremely short Gize 85, a track that I would like a bit of a more development to it, and then we have the track Nadir, which is the one track that tries to have a bit of a different approach when it comes to its melodic passage, with a sound that is more reminiscent of agrotech stuff. However, this track for me has my least favorite melody, as I would have this somewhat basic and simplistic approach on an arpeggiated note. You just have one note up, one note down, and it's kind of the same thing over and over again with not that much of a development to it, and so I wasn't really that much into the whole way this melody was put together. The other highlight for me, having some of the most intriguing melodies in this entire project, was Κόλαση 93, and then tracks like Γενιά του Τίποτα and Θλίψη, in my opinion, were just pretty decent for what they were doing. This album is quite short, pretty simplistic, straightforward, and it has such a great cold and dark atmosphere to it. Its relentless arpeggiated sequences and the fast-paced tempo also manage to enhance this dark party aesthetic that is presented here from start to finish. This is a pretty solid release, and it's definitely worth a shot in my opinion. I'm going to give Σημείο Μηδέν an 8- out of 10. What's your opinion on this album? Like it, dislike it, why, and what do you want me to review next time? Let me know down in the comments. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe for more content like this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.